Back to order. Now brings us to county clerk.
The hospital board's asking for your support for their 5310 transportation grant, so they can submit their application.
Do we need a motion for that? No.
I don't think so. I think you can just sign it or agree to give their support.
You good with you guys?
It's just supporting them. I ask for the same things when I do the 5311 grant, so.
Okay.
I didn't know I told him he could sign that.
The department heads had met a while back and they would like to do an off-site shredding service. They leave trash bins or totes and then we just fill them and they pick them up and destroy them. Dawn did that when she first took over. I don't know if you remember. She had, I don't know if she had 2 or 3 brought in and then you just fill them, and it's part of that underground vault system place that does the same thing. She probably can explain a little more. I don't know all the particulars. I just know that Scott was gonna bring it before you guys. I think they were looking at maybe doing it twice a year, like January, because that's usually year end is when we have a lot of shred, and then like mid-year, June or July.
Is this something to do with what we had with Calcrate at that one time?
They were wanting
The shredding
the
probably.
old tree branches and
Yeah.
stuff to make
Is this the
mulch.
same thing?
This is shredding. No, this would be paper shredding.
Oh, this paper shred.
This is
Okay.
paper shredding, yeah.
Okay.
What's the cost on that?
Oh, here, I'll just pass this, you guys can kind of look at it. It's not really that much for the time that it would take us to shred. I think the hospital uses the service, and,
So this would be all paper from?
yes, so like all the records that we have to obtain, like a lot of our stuff, AP, we have to retain for 3 years. Dawn has to retain stuff for so long, so then after the end of the year, we usually shred it all.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so this would be,
Then I'm assuming they recycle.
yeah, I don't,
I was at the meeting, and right now,
Yeah.
basically, someone just has to stand at the shredder.
right, yeah,
And shred, I don't know if it does 10 pages at a time, but
So
approximately,
it's
yeah.
measured in cubic feet, is how they measure it, 1.5 CF or smaller, $5. Be my way of,
I think those are bins with a lock on them, and then the service
Yeah,
dog picks the
picks them
bag
back
up,
up and,
takes them and shreds them.
Scott wanted to do that.
the department heads would like you to if,
I don't think it's a bad deal. I got a drawer full.
Save you time.
well, it saves them a little life on our shredder.
Pay the higher stop fee. This will be clear back in eastern Kansas somehow.
Yeah.
When Dawn comes in, I mean, if you have any other questions, I know she probably can, she was the one that initially got the
Okay,
contact with them.
okay.
You guys want to hire them?
There's a data interact. Contract with them, I think they were just, or would they just want it twice a year,
I
maybe?
think
Like,
so.
isn't that what we were
Just
talking
like
about?
January, June, kind of after taxes.
Uh-huh.
So we need a motion to do that.
Yeah, any type of contracts you guys have to think approve.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a contract to sign, and that's when we make a motion,
Yeah.
won't we? This is just information.
Well, no, this is the actual contract.
Oh, it is.
To go forward, yeah, to go ahead and get that, so that we can get it for the first of the year. And if you wanna wait until Dawn's in here, she's on that, we can do that, cause I know she initially had the, you
Yeah,
know,
let's let.
she might have something
She
else.
might have more about how much we're looking at her.
Okay, that's fine, yep. We'll just wait until she's in here, that's not a problem.
Do you have anything else?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, how about old business?
Not to my knowledge, unless there's something else you guys know of.
Okay,
I went through
then.
this pile, I didn't see anything else, so I did what I.
No election stuff? It must have been clean and easy.
We have canvas this afternoon, so.
Oh. Can we sit up here with you, is that all right?
She brought you all a cup this morning.
Sweet, I'm glad I'm
You've already
here.
got one.
Yeah,
Aha,
Can't have too many cups.
that's what we think.
Just full of whiskey.
It's, well, yeah, I think it's got a copy in it.
And
You can
we,
add to it
I
as you
think
see
last
fit.
time your attorney was here, so we brought an extra, we can leave this for Scott or whatever when
yeah,
we
I can do
go.
that.
Thank you guys for having us. We're here to talk about health insurance. I think from what Scott said, maybe you guys got your renewal and everything already. Is that correct?
That's, you guys might have it.
Oh.
No, it would be your pre-em claims when they were
Yeah.
here last meeting.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep. And I
Blue
think
Cross.
from what he said, it sounded like your renewal was flat. There was no increase. Does that sound
Yeah.
correct? Okay. So if that's true, those are the numbers we use. So once we get to that part, I believe that we have that information.
I think Blue Cross's deductibles had went up, family and individual, but they were gonna
Okay.
kind of.
Use your
They were
reserves.
gonna kind of use the reserves to kind of cushion that on,
Okay.
on the deductible.
And that's
Yep.
one of the things we don't ever have information on, and I was gonna mention that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So generally, when they give you the renewal, they'll factor those in, and may,
I think it went from 6,300 to 7,000 individual, and
I
like
don't know, I haven't
15,000.
seen it.
I left it at the house, I thought I had it.
Oh,
back.
okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
It might be right there.
I know, then we're gonna make you hurry through all that. Well, we can go through this and then maybe kind of when we get to that part, we can look and see. But we used your current stuff for the options that we prepared. So.
Yeah, it went
yeah,
up
go.
from 6,350 to 7,350 individual. Family went from 12,700 to 14,700,
Okay,
okay.
so.
That
Okay.
won't make a great deal of difference, but we'll mention it when we get in there.
Yep. Yep. So, like we said, we're from UKD companies, and so that's kind of just the stuff that we have at the beginning to talk about. Like we've said when we came before, being with BKD, that includes HR services. There can be some perks when it comes to working with the different providers, as we have large book of business. There is, a lot of compliance things that comes with that. They're going to make sure you're up to date on all the statutes and all the things that are coming out all the time. And then also they have the online platform that we talked about when we were here last. If you want to flip a few pages, is that Employee Navigator. And I think we mentioned this last time we were here, but we're happy to even enroll your employees if that's what's easier. But this is just going to create a lot of reporting and a lot of kind of cleaning things up to making sure everyone's on the same page for Scott and or you as well if you're doing things, it seems like. So we just want to have everyone enrolled, whether that be that we come and sit one-on-one with everyone to do it or if they do it themselves.
Sharice, we talked about it a little bit more last time, but the HR stuff, it's just there to support you guys, not only from a health insurance, maybe it's FMLA question. I know you have a county attorney, but sometimes maybe that's not their specialization.
Right.
But they are part of the, part of being with them. So if you have a question on any of that, the other thing that they're very efficient at is from a compliance standpoint, they'll make absolutely sure that, and most of their things, if it's something that you're supposed to make your employees aware of, they will just send you an email that's a link, and by required, you're just post it. I don't know if you have a county website or where you do things like that, but they'll actually send you the link, so all you gotta do is click on it and it'll post it to your website.
Thanks.
So I thought we were always in compliance with the stuff we did prior, but I found that there's a couple things that we didn't do during the year, so it's been very helpful from that standpoint as well, but,
And if
yeah.
there is some new announcement, I know there's been some changes on family plans and things like that. They'll even create like a newsletter that skips a step. You're just shooting it out, and so when we do use that online platform, they're going to give this summary right here, and every employee will have this at the end, and they're able to see, here's what I enrolled in, here's what I waived. I can see my dependents, what my dependents are enrolled in, and then it's going to show you what's coming out of your paycheck. And we just use this example from a different group, so the numbers wouldn't be to yours, but we just use this as kind of an example of this is the printout they would get. We also have the benefit app, where they can have all of their cards on it and things like that, keep track of their deductible. We talked to you about this last time. I think you guys didn't seem super inclined for technology things. Maybe some people not. So we just want you to know that we are able to do lots of those things if that is something that you're interested in. We'll kind of get into our plan option that we're bringing you today. So you can see our plan design is also a gap plan, similar to what you're doing now. Again, we use that 6350 plan, so we might need to adjust that a little. But what our gap plan differs in is that our actual gap piece, so the Blue Cross, obviously you're paying a premium to them. Our gap piece is underwritten in that you just pay a premium there as well. So you're not self-funding claims that come in once a week or paying a claims register. You're just going to pay a premium to them, and they're going to completely cover from that deductible up to that Blue Cross plan. The one piece that is similar to what you're doing now is the prescriptions. You will self-fund those very similar to what you do now, and we use a company called Prescription Network, which most times that's what Freedom Claims uses as well. So I would think that would be very similar to what you're currently doing. It's still going to be a 2-card system. It'd be very similar to the employees as what they're doing now. It would just be different in the fact that you'd pay 2 premium amounts and be more of like a fully insured thing compared to self-funding that gap piece, if that makes sense.
And from a budgeting standpoint, then it's not an unknown.
Right.
It's a flat amount, and you'll know what it is.
So that's just kind of the plan design. And again, this is the plan that you're currently using with Blue Cross, that's 6350. So again, if they bump that up, we might need to look at that as well, but that's the plan we use for our current design.
It'll reduce your Blue Cross premium. It probably wasn't greatly substantial, but it should have reduced it some. The other piece of that, Bucati, is we are the largest brokerage for Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas. So generally, I don't know that since you're currently with them, but generally we can get a 2% discount on premiums because we're the largest book. If we will go to them and ask, even though you're currently with them, if we could get that applied, so we may be able to get you a 2% discount on your current renewal with Blue Cross.
And
If not, then next year for sure.
right, if we were to have your business currently then going through the years forward, we'd be able to negotiate a lot better with Blue Cross. Sometimes we can, get a quote from a different company, United Healthcare, things like that, and take that to Blue Cross kind of for some negotiating power. So if we were able to kind of have, a year under our belts with some more information, we could do more of that.
And last time we heard you mentioned, we would like to expand where we're getting quotes for you. We would like to do the United Healthcares, the Aetnas as well, just because I think one of the things you mentioned, we get a nationwide network there, and you're kind of unique that you're probably, and it's probably
Several
working
different
okay, but you're
states.
seeking services in Colorado, you're seeking services in Nebraska as well. The limited information, we reached out to them, but we couldn't. If we had more information, United Healthcare would definitely provide us a quote. And we can still run a gap program through them, or we can do just a straight fully insured. We wanted those options, but until we have more information, they just wouldn't do it. But these are all things, if, just as we become more familiar with your group, we will bring you all of those options. I think you should look at those, especially from a long-term perspective as far as what's best for you.
So this next piece is the gap piece that we're talking about. So we use a company called Baybridge, and again, they're actually going to underwrite that gap section. So on here, there's an actual rate, like a premium rate, like you would see with Blue Cross for that gap portion, and you can see they're still going to have that $1,000 deductible up at the top. And so the benefit that the gap is offering is $5,350. So that's the part that they're going to fund. once it gets to Blue Cross, similar to now, Blue Cross is gonna take over. So in terms of your employees and things like that, very similar.
So basically, the employees have the deductible of $1,000, period.
Yes, and that's something we were gonna point out as well. Instead of having, the gap coverage likes to just simplify it, is why we think they do it. Once they hit their deductible, there's no more co-insurance. They hit their deductible, that $1,000, the employee is done paying.
Right.
Which is a good benefit to your employees. Absolutely. And then we're just gonna show the prescription benefit. We tried to make it exactly the same as what you currently have. Again, I would assume that it's with Prescription Network, again, who you currently have, so the prescription setup would be very, very similar to what you're doing now.
And I think we mentioned last time, but we'll, I don't know how much information you're getting regarding your prescriptions now, but we'll probably take it up a notch just as far as monitoring that and watching you. We have reports that we'll bring you that will show your top 15 drugs that are being used by your group, just from the standpoint, those specialties that are getting very costly. And if that's the case, we'll implement some programs that we don't want to limit anybody's care. We're not going to say that somebody won't be able to get those, but there are other ways through those programs other than running it through. And I'm sure I mentioned last time, but there's a lot of them that are $800 or $900 a month. But there's some. We have the most expensive one of some of our groups is $18,000 a quarter. But still, that makes a big impact on our group. So we'll have much more prescription information for you going forward.
That's good.
It's a very costly
Oh, yeah.
category. So the next page kind of looks at the numbers of what we're looking at. So we put your current gap plan and then the gap plan that we're proposing to you. And so, like we already pointed out, the deductible would remain the same. But one of the big differences, like we just point out, is that out of pocket. Once they're reaching their deductible, whether single or family, that's going to save $500 to a single and $1,000 if it's a family. So that is good. Another thing is that copays go to $0. Again, the gap plan wants simplicity. So when you go to the doctor, you don't have to pay a copay. It's just going to be billed to Blue Cross. So that's another positive for your employees. Then when we get down into the monthly rates, Scott had sent us this that kind of shows your current Blue Cross premium. So that's what we used, was the current. And then we use those other factors to see what your gap plan funding is. And if you look kind of down in this gray area, you can see for the umbrella plan, we're using the exact same thing, so the rate would be the same. But then if you look to that gap section, you can see that your current is $17,820, and ours would be $8,668. So a pretty substantial monthly difference there. And then we also factored in the admin cost. Looks like you have a 45 per person now, and we would do 40. So not a huge difference, but a little bit of a difference there as well. So then the monthly costs are $68,997 for current, and ours would be $59,000. The one thing we do need to factor into our annual is that $30,000 estimate that we thought for prescriptions. So that annual total would be $745,000. And I believe your annual total now should be around $827,000. So you can see down there in the green about $82,000 is what you would save in an annual. Any questions about those numbers, or does that kind of make sense? I know it's a lot to...
And keep in mind, those reserve dollars are yours. So if you have some there that they were factoring in, you know,
Still be your money.
It's yours, so you'll just keep those then.
And we know that, you know, the factor that they use for your current gap can be saved for reserves, but we think you know, it's better to not even have as much money at risk, you know, that you could get up to that amount. Maybe you don't always, but.
Okay.
One of the things we'll do too is we'll come around in June. We'll get a utilization reports up to that point in time. We won't be able to give you exact, but at least we deal with a lot of counties. We like to give you some idea when it comes to budgeting, rather than you just totally stabbing in the dark. Because
Yeah.
I've dealt with counties where you
Yeah.
where you guys budget 10%, let's say, and it comes around and it's 30 or whatever it may be. Then it's
It's hard for you guys.
difficult at that point in time to
Yeah.
adjust things. So all of our counties, we we bring you as much updated information as we have in June so we can
Yeah. Give us a
give you
better
some,
idea.
See how
give
the
you
year's
some help.
going.
So I don't think insurance is gonna get cheaper every year.
Yeah, that'd be great. If we could ever bring anybody a decrease, it would be a good day, but
Yeah.
it doesn't seem that that's.
Tell you what, these gap plans have helped, though.
Yeah, they
It's,
do.
it's a little bit of an inconvenience for the employee to have to use too, but at the same time, keep thinking, well, why don't Blue Cross just run us $1,000 deductible plan in that premium? But it just doesn't work that way. When you go to the higher one, it cuts enough premium from Blue Cross that you can do the gap and
Yep.
and still save money, so.
That's what it's about.
Yep.
So yes, we'll go back to Blue Cross then, if you agree with us, and we'll get the 7,000, and then we'll it won't be anything but down from what it is. We're gonna have a little more gap exposure there because we're shifting that from Blue Cross to the gap, but I don't anticipate net, it wouldn't be
Yeah.
more.
Right.
The nice thing about Blue Cross is our employees have less trouble. Blue Cross is really easy to work with.
They are.
Good.
Freedom, or not Freedom, United Healthcare, I could tell you,
Yeah.
stories as a provider.
And that's what and again, sometimes even if we're not going to go with United Healthcare, it's beneficial to have a quote just
Right,
for
depending on you. Yeah.
competitives. And so we understand, and we absolutely don't want to put you guys somewhere where it's less of a benefit to the employees or people are going to have a harder time. But we are able to just kind of shop the market more if we're.
A little different as far as filing claims. All of ours are done electronically. Freedom claims, some of them, they require paper claims. And sometimes that makes it a little more difficult since we're using 2 cards. So everything of ours will be done electronically. For the most part, yeah, but it provides a little bit of an advantage from that standpoint as well.
I went ahead and just included some generic dental and vision quotes in the back there. We just have some shelf rates that we're able to use. And it looks like currently, maybe you guys just kind of self-fund your dental. I don't really,
It's
do
under
you
Blue
know?
Cross.
It's with Blue Cross? Okay. So, so that might be included
Is
in
there
the
a
rates.
premium? We didn't have the
We-
premium
Okay.
information.
I don't know,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this kind of talked about dental, but it was a really low, so I'm not sure. I think you guys might kind of just pay the claims for dental as they come in, so we didn't have a good comparison for that, but we're happy to, we can always change the dental to what you guys prefer and vision as well, but we just wanted to let you know that we.
What are you
brought
doing
those
for
over.
vision now?
It's just a vision care membership.
Okay.
Vision care direct.
Vision Care
Okay,
Direct.
yep,
Use.
okay.
Is it working okay? They're
I think it should pay more, it's just a membership, I mean, I personally would be interested in more coverage, but, I mean, that's up to them,
Will-
so.
We brought a Serency, but we'll look at, I mean, in our world vision, it's very inexpensive, like the premium for a single's $6, so it's not and then from an insurance standpoint, you're gonna pay $72 a year in premium, but your lenses, I mean, your frames alone, they give you $135 allowance, so if you're.
So that would be nice, because we don't get
Absolutely.
anything right now.
If you're an
Oh,
eye care
yeah.
user, you should opt.
Yeah, when you have 3 kids and
Oh, yeah.
a family of 5, it
Yeah.
adds up quickly.
The
Very
family is
quickly.
$20, a month, and then you get an allowance for all of them, so it
Yeah.
absolutely pays for itself if.
We'll just, and we'll do a search, we'll make sure that the providers are there. If not, we deal with all
I
of
say,
them.
because we have a local, I mean.
Yep.
Vision Care's one of
here, and
those.
I know we're not the only, I mean, there's others, I know some go to Ray, some go to Bankelman,
Yep.
some go to
And
Goodwin,
we can
so.
absolutely, and like he's saying, we can use any of the vision providers, so if this one wouldn't be a good fit, we're
Right,
happy to look
sure.
at others as well. Mhm.
It's, Delta Dental came out of the Vision product, so
Oh,
they
gotcha.
do have their network's very good because they're kind of piggybacking off of Delta Dental,
Gotcha.
so. And Delta Dental, it's Delta Dental of Kansas, but it's not just a Kansas based.
Kansas, right.
Yeah, Nebraska, and Colorado will be fine with it as well. Since you're already with Blue Cross, all we'll do is have you sign an agent of record with Blue Cross, and that just allows us now to get the information with Blue Cross. We'll then contact we really don't even have to get new Blue Cross cards. I think if you're gonna go to the 7,000 and we do that, they'll probably issue them a new card because it says on there what the deductible is. But that Blue Cross transition will be very easy. The gap will be relatively simple. It doesn't take long to get those cards. And then if we're gonna change the dental and vision. Road and bridge meetings, we go around to the departments. I don't know how you've done them in the past, but I like to go to.
Good idea to go to each
I-
department.
Yeah.
I like to go out there. And the road and bridge, when we're not making any big changes, but if it's compatible, if the spouses can be there, I like for them to be there. Just because the spouses, it seems like, I'm not picking on that group of people, but, they take home the insurance note on the kitchen table, and that's,
They know what's going on.
that's the
Yeah.
last,
A little bit more.
that's the last time that they deal with it then, so. We like for people to know who we are, so it gives us that opportunity as well, but, yeah. Did we do what you asked us to do, do you
Yes.
think? Okay,
I do, main line to me is saving money. So,
Yep.
I mean, that's saving money with a good service.
Right,
is-
right.
So,
And we know health insurance is a really big ticket item for you guys,
absolutely.
and so we want to make sure that you're taking care of your employees, but if we can save money, we absolutely want to do that.
I just want to look through, so I don't, but I do appreciate you guys coming out. Any
Absolutely.
questions, guys?
I'm good with
okay.
Yep,
You meet the last working day, I believe, if we
Is that
need to
right?
come
Closest
back.
day to the 15th, the last working day of the month, yes. Yeah.
which will be, what, the 30th?
It'll be
yeah, I
the
think
30th.
a Wednesday, yep,
Yeah.
And then we'll meet the 30th of December.
okay.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
about the 15th, but
We have Hodgman that afternoon, so for any reason we need to come up here in the morning, we can. They're an afternoon group, so it gives us time to drive from here to there, but if you need something additional, but.
I'll look, I'm gonna look through it. I know these guys are too, so I like what I see.
Yep.
So,
And our contact's right there on the front, so if you happen to look through it and you have any questions about anything, or please feel free to email us and we'll,
Do you want us to update our sheet based on your renewal, or do you want to just do that comparison yourself?
I just look at the numbers when I.
Okay.
okay, yep.
Yeah.
Is your phone number not on here? I don't like, email.
Yeah, I don't know that it is.
I think you gave me your cards last time. It's
I can give
probably
you
not
another one.
Oh, well,
Yeah, no, you're good. Our number's on there as well. Yep.
thank you.
And I'll go ahead and leave this for
yeah,
Scott.
no,
just
that'd
give
be
it to you.
perfect, thank you.
We do appreciate the
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yep.
We think your group has some potential, so it's one of those that we feel good about.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too complicated for me.
I know.
Oh,
And
it
trying to
is.
simplify it is what we try to do, but
Brett deals with them all the time.
he doesn't probably
Whether he
want
wants to
to,
or not,
but,
yeah.
yep.
Yeah, it is.
All
what
right.
it is. Okay.
Thank you so much for your
Hey,
time.
thank you.
Thanks for doing
Good
that.
seeing you
Thank
again.
you.
Enjoy your day.
Thank you. Yes, we will. Sure,
And
son,
hopefully-
glad we got to
Yes,
meet you.
nice to meet you, Saki.
Hopefully some moisture ahead your way of sometime.
Yes.
Yeah.
You ought to put that in here.
Yeah. If we could include that, we'd be sold today, huh?
Yeah.
We guarantee this much rain a year. If only we could do that too. You guys have a good day.
You too, thank you.
I better go through this store before I have the same problem.
You guys can leave whatever out you want dispose of after the meeting if you'd like.
Pardon?
I said you can leave stuff on the counter and I'll get rid of it if you'd like me to.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I'd like to do 5 minutes executive session, non-elected personnel, but I'd like Mike to stay in here. I got a question for him.
Okay.
Second.
Been first and second for 5 minutes, 5 minutes of executive personnel for non-elected personnel, right?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry,
Opposed?
Steve. Is this yours?